Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Snipes and Stripes with my good friend Tim Peel, the best referee to ever lace the skates up in that hockey league, right here on nofilter.net. We got a lot to talk about. We didn't do a show last week because I was traveling and we wanted to watch the Four Nations Cup final, which did not disappoint. Maybe a little bit because USA didn't win, but we'll talk about that. But Tim, how you doing, buddy? How's your
I'm
how's your week starting?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I missed you last week. I'm excited. You're right. We have a lot to talk about. But before we get to anything, I have to ask you: did you get ragdolled by the Biebs yesterday? Did you get ragdolled by Justin Bieber
the
in
the
LA?
Biebs the Biebs ragdolled me. He got the shirt over my head. He kind of jumped me. He got the upper hand on me, and it was all over from there. It was a lot of fun. Hey, if you saw Bieber, he's ripped up, man. That guy's in pretty good shape. He's really small. I don't know how strong he is, but he's ripped up. He's definitely takes care of himself when it comes to his fitness, man. But
Well, he's a huge hockey fan, buddy. He grew up in Ontario in a small town. It's amazing where he came from to be this international star that he is. But I think it's pretty well known that the Beebs loves hockey, and
he really does.
it looked like you guys had a great time. You had a lot of big names out there yesterday.
Holy cow! I walk in and walk into a meeting, and there's Vince Vaughn. My
Yeah,
hero.
yeah,
And he was so excited to see me. It was kind of like long lost brothers. We haven't seen each other in a long time, so it was great to catch up with him. Al Michaels was in there. Do
yeah,
you believe in miracles? It was
yeah.
great to see him. Danny DeVito, all four
Danny
foot ten of
DeVito. I
them.
saw I saw that. That is awesome.
He's such a sweet man, such a great guy, and it's really funny. It's like I go up to a guy like Danny DeVito, and I said, "Hey, Mr. DeVito, I'm always been a big fan of yours. Nice to meet you." He goes, "Oh, Jr. Oh," and I'm like, you forget about you're a star in the in the
it's
in the sports world, right? And it's
it,
just
it's a bit
really
humble. It's a
cool.
bit humbling, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, and then going up to Will Ferrell, and he went to shake my hand. He's like, "Hey, what to shake my hand?" I said, "No, I'm a hugger. I've always wanted to hug you." And I hugged Will Ferrell, and Steve Carell was there, and Snoop Dogg, and Dave Boreanaz from Bones and SEAL Team. Just really cool. It was a cool experience, man. Let alone the NHL was there. Gary Bettman was there. I saw Milan Lucic was there. I mean, all guys from ex teammates to players, and seeing a lot of my ex teammates in LA. I'll tell you what, LA Kings are a first class organization.
Yeah, they are.
Um, from front to back, what they do for their community, the way that they treat their ex players, their
Mhm.
alumni, um, they are first class all the way. And so the fans there, probably some of the most underrated hockey fans in all of the game. They sell out that building pretty much every night,
I
regardless of
know.
where they are in the
I
standings.
know.
It's pretty fun to watch.
You know what? You're so right about the organization, and it starts with Rob Blake and Luke Robitaille. Luke Robitaille, they're just both classy guys, and you're right. That place, every time I worked there, no matter where they were in the standings, they had a great crowd. But you talk about all those celebrities that were there. I don't know if we would have seen that 10 years ago in LA. Maybe 10, but it hockey's grown, man. It's
Yeah.
and with Team USA last week, hockey is continuing to grow. What Team USA did for the country last week, unfortunately, they came up a little short. But they made a lot of non-hockey people hockey people. You got JJ Watt. You got all these celebrities that you and I both know, may not know them, but we follow them on social media, whatever. People are tweeting out about Team USA. It's on the news. It's on Fox News. It's on CNN. It's on all the big TV
Everything.
stations. It was fantastic.
And even going on to Instagram, right? And seeing some of the posts that non-hockey fans were saying, right? People from every ethnic background,
Yep.
every part of the country, every part of the world that are like, "Hey, I never watch hockey. I don't
Right.
know hockey. I don't like hockey, but I like hockey now." You
Yeah.
know? So let me start this whole Four Nations conversation as um, whoever's idea this was.
Mhm.
Congratulations.
Right.
This was a massive success.
Yeah.
This was a grand slam home run idea that not only was great for the league, but it was great for hockey and the hockey world, right? So I didn't know what to expect coming into it. We had conversations leading up to it. I think we both said, this is crazy doing this in the middle of the season. This is crazy stopping us an NHL season so we can have four nations battle it out. What if they get hurt? What if all these scenarios, and then boom, that first game happened, and I was roped in. Boom, the second game happened. I was more excited. And then Saturday comes, US versus Canada, and the whole world was sucked in. And it was amazing to watch the competitive level, to watch the physicality of the games, to see how the NHL players bought into a mini tournament within a NHL season where they have a Stanley Cup goal in mind. Tells you why NHL hockey players are the greatest athletes, the most
They
respectful,
are.
the most proudest, and I think they showed the sporting world how you're supposed to act as a professional athlete.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, buddy. You know, I you and I will talk about the injury thing because you and I got into it weeks ago about I was saying they wanted to play for their country and you agreed, but you talked about the implications of having injuries, and we'll get into what injuries there are now in a few minutes. But I was looking forward to it, but it far exceeded my expectations.
100%.
I don't think any of us thought that it was going to be to this degree. If people thought that it was going to be like an all-star game where there wasn't a lot of checking, man, were we ready for the complete opposite? Because it just goes to show, and you just alluded to it with hockey players, they're the most tremendous athletes that I've ever known, the most generous with their time, but they're so passionate about putting, whether it's Team Finland, Team Sweden, the US, Canada, putting on their country's jersey. All of a sudden a switch goes off and they are ready to go through a wall, and we saw that in all the games. It was absolutely the best. And I know with the All-Star game, you've got to do it every couple of years because it really is the All-Star game at the end of the day is for the corporate sponsors to wine and dine them and take them down to South Florida, and take them to an All-Star game. But man, oh man, if the next time we have an all-star game, it's going to be a major letdown because this was incredible. And next year we won't have an all-star game because we're going to have the Olympics. And I said to Bronson driving in the truck to hockey the other day, I go, I'm already jacked up for the Olympics next year, JR.
Yeah.
Like that is going to be awesome.
I think that just set the tone, right? We just got an appetizer of international hockey on the highest level. Hey, maybe they do bring back the All Star game and they give out different incentives.
Sure.
Maybe there's a sponsor out there that will give a certain amount of money per hit in the All Star game, right, for charity. For every hit, we're going to give $10,000 to somebody, right?
I remember you threw a hit in an all-star game and you
Yeah,
pissed everybody.
I hit Alexi Shitnik a couple times back
Yeah,
to
you,
back, and
you
then
pissed everybody off.
yeah, and then Big Walt got me in my last in 2004 in Minnesota. He hit me pretty hard. He wanted to throw it back at me, which is okay, which is great. All right, let's chat about this game. Let's
Yeah.
chat about the whole final thing. So leading up to Thursday's game, and you're right. Every single news outlet, every single eye was on the NHL. There was nothing else really in the world of sports on Thursday except this game. And when you have CNN, MSNBC, CBS, NBC, ABC, ESPN, TNT, Fox News, everybody was covering it. It was great for the world. And obviously,
Yeah.
politics came into play with,
Yeah, it
the,
did.
the governor of the 51st state
Yeah.
and Donald Trump going back and forth, Trump calling the team. Um, I was nervous going into the game. I gotta tell you. I mean, to beat a team like the Canadians in that roster two times in a row is one thing, but I knew that the U.S. team was banged up.
Yeah.
I knew they were sore. I knew they were beat up. A couple of the guys really, really big guys, that very important guys, were not even at 60% in terms of their health,
They weren't
and
even
st-
practicing.
and still played.
Right.
McAvoy was out, which was probably the big loss when it comes to kind of slowing down Connor McDavid, or at least neutralizing Connor McDavid. But I was nervous going into the game. I don't know how you felt.
I was 100% the same way. I said to anybody that asked me here in St. Louis, who do you think's going to win? And I said, it is pretty tough to hold down Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, and Sidney Crosby on 2 games in a row. I was on the same mindset as you. I did not have a good feeling about it. I said to my son, I said, because Binnington's a St. Louis guy. We live in St. Louis. We root for the Blues and Binnington. And I said to him driving to school, I go, Bronson, I said, we need Binner to let in a couple softies tonight, because I said, uh, I just, and sure enough, who scores? MacKinnon and McDavid. But to all the critics out there that were questioning Jordan Binnington and should he even have been in this championship game? He, for whatever reason, first of all, I was thinking about this a couple days ago, and I wanted to ask you about this. You know how some golfers always play well at a certain course, like in
There's
the
some
PGA.
goaltenders that play better in certain buildings.
Jordan Binnington, 2019 against Boston, it should have been 3-1 after the first period for Boston. He absolutely stole that game. He was incredible. Here we have fast forward 5 years later. He's back in Boston. Does an athlete, JR, because you were there, does an athlete walk into a building and go, oh man, I feel right.
100%.
I'm at home.
100%. I did that every time I walked into Maple Leaf Gardens
Really?
or Air Canada Center.
Yeah.
Um, I felt like that every time I walked into Madison Square Garden. Um, yeah, I absolutely felt very comfortable. And this is a great story because I was walking out of the Boston Garden, um, and there were two guys that were all dressed up in USA gear, right?
Yeah.
And um, they were pissed because
Yeah.
Americans lost, but they were more pissed at Binnington because
Right.
Binnington stole that game.
Yeah.
Those saves that he made in overtime were absolutely spectacular saves. They were the four best saves
Yeah.
of the whole tournament for Binnington, and it
Hmm.
was in overtime. And the Boston Bruins, these guys are Boston kids, right? They're Boston fans. And the guys are like, I hate that effing Binnington. I hate him. He kills us here in Boston.
Yeah.
Kills us. He beat the Bruins in game 7. Now he beat the US tonight. He goes, and I went to thinking about it. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yes. Binnington thrives in this
He
building.
does. And
And
and he
and he showed it.
and he thrives in the big games. He thrives in the spotlight. Listen, he's played decent this year. Hasn't played, I don't think and I think he'd be the first to admit, to the level that maybe he expects of himself, but he's also not playing in front of one of the best teams in the NHL either. I think unless something drastically happens, I think Doug Armstrong, if I remember correctly, is the GM of the Olympic team, and obviously John Cooper is going to be the coach. Um, how do you not say, "Hey, Bennington's our guy," until somebody else steals it from him? Because this guy, we know the famous line, "Do I look nervous?" He likes the spotlight, buddy.
Yeah, he really does. Well, listen, I don't think he did. I don't think he played very well during the tournament. I mean, he let
He
in some
played
late goals.
okay.
He played
Yeah,
okay. Didn't play
yeah,
bad, but
yeah.
you know, didn't really impress anybody, right? So, to win those games, it comes down to sometimes the goaltender is going to save you, right?
Right.
Sometimes the goaltender is going to be the guy that's going to win the hockey game for you. Um, there was one big shot by Canada in overtime, and it's the one that went in.
Hmm.
And as great as Hellebuyck played the entire tournament, as great as he played, he didn't make that one save for the US.
I know.
Now, could he have? It was arguably as good a shot as you can make from that side. It is a lefty going far side.
Right.
there is definitely a good chance of, of Hellebuyck getting that hand up there. It wasn't like it was out of reach, or unless he was out of position. But the difference was Binnington made the saves
Mm-hmm.
and Hellebuyck missed it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not making any blame, but that's how small the margin of
Mm-hmm.
error is to win a championship or to win a tournament or to win a Stanley Cup. And that game showed it.
Well, my good friend, who Andy Strickland, him and Cam Jansen do this Cam and Strick show. Strick tweeted out something during the game. He goes, "Are we going to see the Jordan Binnington of the playoffs and the Connor Hellebuyck of the playoffs?" Because if you remember last year against Colorado, Hellebuyck was terrible against Colorado.
Yeah.
So you know what? I love the guy. Wasn't a trophy winner, going to win it probably back to back years, but he's got to be able to show that he can steal a game for somebody in the big moment.
Yeah.
And until he does that, he won't go down as a great goaltender. He'll go down as a good goaltender, but he's got to rise and win that big game. So listen, one other thing on that goal, Austin Matthews took some heat as he left McDavid alone. But what's so ironic is literally 45 minutes before that goal, I was going to tweet out, man, Austin Matthews is a tremendous two-way hockey player. He made some great back checks,
He
broke
played a
up.
great game. He played a great final game. It was his best game of the tournament,
He
Austin
really,
Matthews.
he really did. It was a missed assignment by him, I guess. I don't know. You know better
Yeah,
than
but
I
was
do.
it?
But
I want to break this down for you, and I want you to understand how hard this job was for Austin Matthews. This particular play. Um, I do want to say I would think that Team USA would expect more from Austin through the tournament. He
mm-hmm,
didn't score a goal the whole tournament,
right,
which was surprising. But he was the best player in the last game.
yeah, he
Austin
was.
Matthews was with the exception of Slavin.
Jeez,
I mean, we'll talk about him in a minute too. Besides Slavin, Austin Matthews was the best player, and Brady Tkachuk.
yeah,
Brady Tkachuk also. So those three were the stars by far. Not even close. Not even close second. Um, but let's break down this goal, okay? Because you when I say that this whole game was so great, if you could have written a script on how you wanted it to go, Austin Matthews scores the goal
mm-hmm,
from Jack Eichel, and pick another one, pick another
yeah,
superstar, right? From
Matthew
Matthew
Tkachuk,
Kachuk,
yeah,
right? That was one. But you got an overtime goal from, and I don't even think it's an arguable. I think the three best players in the world. Okay, Cale Makar,
yeah,
Nathan MacKinnon, and Connor McDavid. So I want you to kind of, and I know this is going to be long winded, but everybody says, how does Connor McDavid get wide open in the slot? How does he get all? Why do they leave him like that? Okay, there's a lot of things that kind of go into the chemistry, the mentality of the course of a play.
mm-hmm,
So number one, the face-off was to the right of Hellebuyck in the right circle.
yeah,
I hated, because I'm a right-handed shot.
mm-hmm,
I hated taking face-offs in the left-hand side because I'm off. I have to pull all the way across my body, right? It's an
right,
awkward move. Why Austin Matthews is taking that face-off when Jack Eichel is a righty.
mm-hmm,
He's in that area, right? Number one,
mm-hmm,
he's on his strong suit. He had one of the best face-off percentages of the game, if not of the tournament. Okay, but you have a lefty in Austin Matthews taking that against against Connor McDavid, a very good face-off guy who is a lefty.
right,
Okay, so he's on his strong side.
right,
So right there, automatically wrong people on the face-off for US. Okay, that's my opinion. Number one. So now you have Connor McDavid wins the puck back to the point. Now Team USA is getting in defensive mode. on the right side of the ice. The puck gets thrown all the way around to the far blue line on the boards where Cale Makar goes and gets the puck.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So now the whole play have shifted to the other side. So now all 5 players have to readjust, come all the way over and make different defensive assignments, pick up certain guys, pick up lanes. Do you know where Nathan MacKinnon goes? Nathan MacKinnon goes all the way in the opposite corner
Yep.
with his feet against the boards and stands there. While everybody else goes over here, Nathan MacKinnon goes and stands on the complete opposite corner of Cale Makar.
It's like
Okay.
they played together.
Okay. Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon play together.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a big asset for them.
Yeah.
Big benefit. The whole play now comes over to Cale Makar. Cale Makar holds it until he waits till the last second, till everybody gets over. Whack! He throws that puck all the way around
Yep.
where MacKinnon is standing right there. He's a righty. He has all the time in the world to get that puck off the boards. Now, all the USA is panicking. Now they have to move all 5 guys back to the other side. And you have one of the most dangerous players in the world that has the puck. So the defenseman goes, and all McDavid has to do is to go into that slot,
Uh-huh.
into that quiet zone.
That quiet area. Yep.
But there's so much confusion because of that puck changing sides so quickly.
Right.
Austin gets kind of caught veering towards the puck, as does the defenseman. So you have 2 guys leaning towards the puck. You have a right-handed guy in MacKinnon. He makes one move to the outside, creates the lane. You have Connor McDavid, who's in the slot, a lefty, which creates more space for that
Yep.
pass. And it was a very simple tape-to-tape pass right to Connor McDavid. And by the way, Connor McDavid is going to be open even if Austin Matthews is 1 foot out of position.
Yeah.
1 foot.
Yeah.
Because of this. And of course, you have the most talented player in the world who
Right.
has that puck on his stick and off his stick and in the top of the net within a matter of a split 0.5 seconds.
Yeah.
Which not many players in this world could do, because what they would do, they get it, they'd sweep it, then shoot it. He got it and shot it in the same motion, which with the accuracy that he did is one of the most incredible shots I've seen in so long, and talent riddled that it just, so when you break it all down, it was an amazingly perfectly technically planned play that worked to a T, and there was nothing USA could have done about it. The only thing that could have been done is Hellebuyck makes a big save and robs McDavid.
He
But
would
it
have
didn't happen.
he would have had to have robbed him. Exactly.
So
I don't know many goalies that are going to make that save. It was
no, exactly, which I get, but I mean, again, he
Mhm.
could have robbed him. I mean, Binnington made that big glove save that with that high shot that was tattooed
Uh-huh.
to the left corner earlier in the overtime, that he got it, and he could have missed it, but he got it. Hellebuck could have got it, but he didn't, and the game was over.
Yeah.
I am not putting any blame on Hellebuck. With
No,
no
I know
question.
you're not.
He played awesome, but it was the perfect play with the perfect players and the perfect shot. Period. And the sentence.
Yeah.
What a storybook series. It was crazy.
I wish Brady was healthy for the final game. I wish Matthew was healthy. I don't know. I haven't talked to Walt, and nor would I ask him. But obviously, it's something serious because
I
there's
know
no
why. I know why they're going to take a little bit of a break, and they
well,
deserve a break. And they need to get a break and get ready for their playoff runs. Hopefully, Ottawa can hold on for a little bit while Brady takes a little break. I don't think we have to worry about Florida making the playoffs for Matthew to get back and get healthy. But you question Boston, whether Boston is going to be in trouble now that McAvoy's not in there. Then they're vying for that wild card spot.
buddy, I think stick a fork in Boston. I think they're done. You should have made that bet with me this year, not last year, because I was doing some research this morning. So you've got McAvoy out. Do you know this is an unbelievable stat? You're not even going to believe it when I tell you. The World Juniors this year, Boston Bruins are the only team in the National Hockey League to not have a player, a kid, playing in the World Juniors. They don't have one play. They didn't have one player playing in the World Juniors. They have traded away almost all of their good draft picks. Is that
Wow,
unbelievable?
wow, that's crazy.
Not one. That,
That's crazy.
so I don't know. I think Boston's done, buddy. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Does
Well, if that's the
Marshawn
case, if that's the case, their future looks a little bit dim,
doesn't looks terrible,
right?
right?
Yeah, they don't have any really big young players that are going to be able to come up and fill the voids of some of these older guys that are going out, right?
And Hampus Lindholm, one of their best defensemen, he's done for the year, or at least I think for the year. I was reading today he's got a broken patella, if you can
Yeah, broken
imagine.
kneecap. Yeah, I heard that. He's been
Um,
out since November. He's been gone for a while. So
so without him, I I don't know.
yeah,
I think it's a steep hill to climb for the Bruins, and it's is their window closed? There's rumors today that they're going to trade Trent Frederick. They just don't have a lot. Listen, I said when their coach got fired this year, Jimmy Montgomery, when he got fired, I said to people, I think I said to you on the show, I said, I've looked at their lineup. I don't think you can blame the coach here. I just don't think they're a very good team. They're an okay team, but I don't think they're a playoff team the way they're
yeah.
built right now.
They've kind of gone along the same realm as Pittsburgh,
Yeah,
right?
they have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of just really holding on to their older guys as long as they could, and
Yep.
they do have some young studs, some younger guys that can do well, but I totally agree. I totally agree with you. Um,
Hey,
but let's get back really quick. Let's get. Can we just talk about how good of a defenseman Slavin is?
that's what I was going to ask you if we could talk about next. It's
I
unbelievable.
So here's the best defenseman that's not talked about in the league.
100%.
Um, I mean, I watched him very, very closely on Thursday, and I watched him through the tournament because I don't get to see him too much, right? Because
Right.
he's obviously he doesn't get a lot of airtime where he plays. Um, his his hockey IQ, his defensive IQ, his and obviously he's a big, lanky, big reach, good skating defenseman that doesn't care about going on the offense
Hmm.
is totally, totally satisfied with being a very strong, extremely intelligent, shut down defenseman. And you watch the little things that he does when he goes down on the ice to block a pass and his
Hmm.
timing, his swinging, no, having the wherewithal to swing the opposite way to get a stick to a puck, or reading into where the play's going and have himself in the best position and being able to break up passes, to break up shot attempts, to get a stick on a shot and deflect it out. His physicality in front of the net. I am telling you, if this kid doesn't win a Norris Trophy someday, I will be shocked. Um, I'm gonna put him there in the top five, top four best defensemen in the game.
It was impressive. He became a name, a household name for people in U.S. and Canada that don't get to see him play a lot in Carolina. And I agree with you. Sidney Crosby had a tap in front of the net, and Slavin just turns around and takes it away.
Yeah,
Like
he turned the opposite way because he knew he couldn't go this way because he
yeah,
would have got stuck.
turn the opposite way.
So he turned the whole opposite way and chopped that away at the just at the last second, right?
This guy's gonna make, if he hasn't already, he's gonna make a lot of money in his career, JR, because he is a stud defenseman, man. I loved watching him
Yeah,
play. It was
and the one thing that really impressed me, because you'll see a lot of defensemen just get the puck and just rifle it right
yeah.
aimlessly and hope. They're called hope for passes. This Slavin looks for tape to tape passes first all the
Hmm.
time,
Hmm.
and sometimes he'll have three different options, right? And he might have one option that would create a breakaway or a really good option, but it's a low percentage, and he'll just make the high percentage pass and
Right.
just be 100% confident, right? Just make the right play at the right time. And I mean, that is just that's age, that's being a cagey veteran beyond your years, right? Reminds me a lot of Lidstrom, a lot
Yeah.
like Lidstrom,
Yeah.
the way that he plays.
Very
Maybe not as offensive as Lidstrom was, but very, very similar.
very composed, right? Very composed. Has uh, a lot of similar traits to Lidstrom. Doesn't make mistakes. He just doesn't make mistakes. He always seems to make the right play. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was thoroughly impressed by him, and it was phenomenal. You know what? Before we
Hold
talk
on, hold
about.
on. We gotta go from thoroughly impressive to thoroughly not impressive.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what happened to these two players, but they weren't the same players on Team USA that they are at their home at their NHL respective teams. How Kyle Connor was so ineffective. I mean, he
Mm,
ended up being up in the press box, and Chris Kreider was absolutely atrocious in that
invisible.
last game. Who took his place? I don't know what happened to these two players because both players are so dynamic, so fast, can score goals, and literally they almost looked like they were scared shit on the ice.
You know what? You're unbelievable. Seriously, we didn't even talk today for our listeners before we did the show, and I've got written down here: Kyle Connor 30 goals, Kreider 17. I swear to God. And I was going to ask you about that. And isn't that funny? Do you,
Uh,
as bad as Connor was, man, do you keep him in that big game though, Jr. Because he can score goals. And Kreider's done.
well, they went with Kreider because he's bigger and stronger.
I know, but geez, you need to score goals too. Like,
Yeah.
I
So
don't
I'm
know.
gonna say one more player, and I'm not being critical on him because I knew it's a big stage, and I love him. He's one of my favorites, and I love his family. Um, but Jack Hughes just looked like he was out of place. He looked like he was intimidated. He looked like the speed was like he couldn't get used to the speed, and it's like when the puck got on a stick, he wasn't that dynamic takeoff. Let's. I'm
Uh-uh.
confident. I'm confident. It's almost like he second guessed himself all the time, and it bothered me because I love Jack so much,
I
and
I said the exact same thing watching the game with my family. I said, Hughes, something's got to change with him because he's either got to put on weight in the off season to become a little stronger and thicker because he looks so slight out there. He just there wasn't any compete in him. Like, and he would just get knocked off the puck or fall down. It
yeah,
happened
yeah,
every shift.
every shift,
Every
every
shift.
shift, yeah.
I
Every
know.
shift.
I
Yeah,
know.
it
But
just wasn't his time. And obviously that's a big stage. He's still still young.
yeah,
I'm never going to be overly critical for Jack because I love him and he's a dynamite player. But it just wasn't his night that night. And that's I hope he watches that game and learns from it because the kid's going to be a superstar for a long time. But that's
I agree.
that's one that I think he's going to want back. And one when it comes to the Olympics next year, I would not be surprised if Jack Hughes is one of the leaders, in that tournament
Yep.
next year.
Yep. And you know
Yeah.
what? I love him as a player, but Vinny Trocheck didn't do anything throughout the 3 or 4
No,
games.
he tried to mix it up a little bit. I totally agree. I wonder what a Tage Thompson would have looked like on that team. Big,
Right.
strong.
Right.
Yeah, big, cagey, strong guy. Robertson, maybe what a Robertson would have been like. And by the
Mhm.
way, this is Monday morning quarterback. I think the team did
Exactly.
the team did great. We're not saying anything about the team, but
Mm-mm.
it's always going to be the wonder, right? I wonder how that would have been. I wonder how that would have been. But
Hey, before
that
we get,
team, that team played with such passion, such grit, and they were tired and they were beat up, but yet they had a good chance to win that game.
yeah, they did.
That
They
team
did.
played. That team played hard. Whether they played good or not, some of them they played hard,
Yeah, they
right?
did.
which you got to take your hats off to them, man. Both teams did. It was great. It was
Buddy, it was just good to see. It was good to see. You and I have been aching for this for 8 years. They haven't played till or almost since 2016 in the World Cup, 2014 in the Olympics.
yeah.
We've gone that long without seeing Connor McDavid in a Team Canada jersey and the Kachuk brothers and so on. This was epic and is going to go down as a phenomenal series. It's just a prelude to the Olympics in Italy next year, and I think we're going to be the viewership for that will be off the charts because we saw what the viewership was. I think it was 9 or 10 million Americans watched it, which was the most watched game in I think they said almost 30
History.
years. Yeah, yeah, it
History.
was incredible. But before we talk about Ovi and some other things that are currently going on in the league, I do want to touch on. We touched on the politics of it. I got to be honest, I am utterly disgusted in the country that I grew up in and still love that they have decided to try to cancel. They canceled Don Cherry. Now they're trying to cancel the greatest hockey player of all time, our friend Wayne Gretzky, who's done so much for Canadian hockey. Has been the epitome of class his entire career, has grown the sport in areas in the US that probably it never would have worked without Wayne Gretzky. And because he didn't come out with a Team Canada jersey on, and because he's friends with Donald Trump, they want to try to cancel him. And some of these reporters up there, these
What a joke. What a
journalists,
joke.
Terry Jones, Bruce Arthur, these guys that, Terry Jones tweeted out a couple days ago. He goes, I've covered Wayne Gretzky since the WHA and the NHL because Terry Jones works for the Edmonton Sun in Edmonton. I've authored a couple of his books. Wayne Gretzky needs to come out and make a statement. And I'm like, are you a complete moron? Wayne Gretzky does not owe you guys anything. Who cares what celebrity endorses a political figure? It's none of our business, and it's none of your business. And I think it's disgraceful what they're trying to do to him.
It is disgraceful.
And
But that's what they do. That's what they do.
that's what
They
they
try to
do.
they try to shame people that they don't that don't agree with them. And it's that's what's wrong with the country. They call everybody else bad people when they're the bad people themselves. So shame on those writers. Shame on them, especially Wayne Gretzky, who has been absolutely the best poster child for and one of the best athletes of all time, and one of the classiest of guys of all time. The classiest, like amazing man. So shame on you people up there who think that Wayne Gretzky should come out and be anything different than Wayne Gretzky. It's an absolute
the
joke.
the most humble superstar you and I have ever met, ever,
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah, so
Well,
I
like,
agree with you there. So I will say this: I was really disappointed with the Canadians booing the U.S. national anthem. I can't say I don't understand it, but I didn't like it. I
yeah.
get it. I get it. They're very proud people in Canada. Look at you, Peelzy. You're a proud Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
They're great people up there, and they're proud of their country. And I think they take that personally when they say, "Oh, why don't you just be a state of ours?" And I get that. I understand, but still, you got to have respect for you guys have respect for a nation's anthem, and they didn't do that. On Thursday, there were a few boos.
Not many
Obviously,
though.
we're in Boston. You're going to have a couple of the Boston, the mass holes.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
mass holes are going to, some of them. But for the most part, it was very respectful. It was very quiet, and Boston represented themselves great. So hopefully, this whole booing anthems is done, and we can respect each other. Let politics be politics, but let's respect the
Right.
countries. So I had to say that,
Well
and
said.
I have to send a shout out to Doug McLean up there in Canada. He ripped me pretty good about, because I said, this is a big game for Canada because they could lose their prominence as the hockey is Canada's game, right, and all that stuff.
Oh, did Doug rip you?
Yeah, well, listen, he was very fair. He was great. He's like, yeah, Jeremy's yapping his mouth off about not being a Canadian game and all that stuff, and he's right. I was, there's no question. but I had some validity in my points. I mean,
Sure.
is hockey Canada's game? Of course, it always will be. That doesn't always mean they will be the best at it, but
Right.
it will be. And it was just funny. I was listening to Doug MacLean talk about the game and about how big it was for Canada, and he took a couple jabs at me, and I just thought it was great. He's such a good man, and
Oh, I love Doug.
yeah,
He's
and
a great guy.
I just got a big kick out of it, and I'm like, that away, Doug. Give the guy some crap. So I tip my hat off to Doug MacLean for that cool little rant that he had the other day. So it was great.
So we've got a few minutes left. We got to talk about Ovi, buddy. We got to talk about Ovi. Oh, and
God, man.
before we do, breaking news: Trevor Zegras was just suspended for 3 games for his hit last night on Michael Rasmussen from the Detroit Red Wings. So Zegras has got a week off.
That's kind of a little out of character for Trevor, don't you think?
Yeah, it is.
But
I
okay.
saw the hit. He deserved 2 or 3 games. I think Department of Player
Okay.
Safety hit
Hey,
it right
listen,
on the head.
Zegers has had a tough ride.
He has.
He's getting a lot of criticism. He's not producing. He's getting criticism from the fans, from the
Mhm.
press, from the media, from his GM to his coach. Um, I like. Listen, nobody. I don't want to see anybody get suspended or do something that's going to hurt somebody. But at least he's doing something that's showing some aggravation, some zest, get some life in you. So I didn't see the hit, so I really can't
Yeah,
comment on it. But
it's a
um,
3 game suspension.
okay.
It is what it is. It happens. It's hockey.
So what you're saying is
You
we have a Trevor Zegras sighting. That's a good thing.
you would have been suspended about 30 times in your career if if the rules were what they were.
I couldn't play. I could not play. I could not play in today's game. I could not
So
play in today's game.
so Ovi scores 3 last night, and 2 parts of this story. Ovi scores 3. He's only 13 goals away now from Gretz's record. They beat Edmonton at home 7-3, and Edmonton loses the night before to Philly 6-3. So 2 parts of this question. First, would Jordan Binnington look good in an Edmonton Oilers jersey? They obviously need a goalie. And second of all, is Ovi going to break the record this year? He's got 17 games left. Before you answer the question, I want to read you this. His last 4 games, the Caps' last 4 games this season, they have 2 against Columbus, they have 1 against the Islanders, and the last game of the year is against the Pittsburgh Penguins. How fitting would it be if he broke the record and Sid was able there to be there, because they've battled, but they have a huge amount of respect for each other,
See, I kind of wonder if they did this on purpose to put that game
right?
just just for the just for the hell of it. Let's put Pittsburgh against Washington just in case Ovi has a chance to break the record. And I'm telling you, it's going to be close. I don't think he's going to be able to do it this year. 13 goals in 17 games as a 39-year-old would be even more epic than what he's doing already. Um, I'm not going to be surprised if he does it because he is Ovi. And you know, I did have to record a video for Ovi last night and make sure that if he does do it this year, that there's a lot of congratulations from a lot of people from around the league, right? And you
No,
know,
I'm
I don't
sorry.
think he does it.
I'm sorry. They've got 25 games left,
Oh, I was
Kara.
going to say 17
They've
games.
they've played 57 games, so they've got 25 games
Oh, they
left,
got 25 games. Then yes, I think he does it this year. At 25 games, I think he does do it this year, and
right?
it could very well come down to that last game. And I would love to see Wayne Gretzky in the stands. I would love
Uh-huh.
to see it happen. And can you imagine how much energy that team will get going into the playoffs after the year that they had, having Ovi break the most unbelievable sporting record maybe out there,
Right?
right? And yeah, I think I would give him an 80% chance
Yeah.
of doing that this year with
Yeah.
25 games left.
Well, Tom Wilson today said that he has never seen Ovi so driven as he has in the last few months. So I think,
Good.
we've talked about it before. I think he wants to get it done this year. He doesn't
He
want to do
100% does. Well, listen, I'm sure Ovi's tired, man. He's
it, right?
39 years old. He's played a lot of hockey. after he gets this record, what is there left for him? He's won a cup.
Right.
He's won MVPs. He's won scoring titles. You know, I think this would be the perfect way to end his career. And I don't think Ovi wants to go through another summer of
No.
working out and getting ready. Maybe
Right.
I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he loves the game so much he'll come back regardless next year. But I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't. I'd
No.
be like, sayonara. I'd
It'd
be
be a
done.
it'd be a great way to leave. And you know
It
what?
would.
Speaking about Ovi, we need to get into politics quickly. We need to get this war settled because we need the Russians in the Olympics next year. We need
Yes,
that Russian team in the Olympics,
100%.
and that was missing this year at the Four Nations, and I'm sure they will be, which would be great to see Ovi play in one more
Yeah,
Olympics as well.
yeah. Well said. Well said. I think that'll be great. But I, you know what? For the longest time, I didn't want Ovi to break it, but now he's
Yeah.
this close. I talked to Gretz about it, and Gretz is like, "Hey, every record is meant to be broken," and Ovi's been just a true exemplary goal scorer, and it'd be great to have him do it. So
So the second part of that question, does a guy, because his trade stock obviously couldn't be any higher right now, does Doug Armstrong consider trading a Jordan Binnington?
I don't see why not. I mean, is Binnington the answer to Edmonton's woes? Um, Possibly. Is there a better goaltender out there than Binnington that could be available? Um, it's a good question. Um,
I'm looking it up, but I am almost positive that Jordan Binnington's salary is only 6.5, which which yeah, he signed a 7.5. He signed a 6-year, well, 6-year, $36 million contract, so it obviously goes down each year.
big
Um,
contract, big contract for a team that has big contracts.
But is Stuart Skinner going to get you to the promised land? Is
No,
a team like
no.
Edmonton seriously trying to find that guy? Where's John Gibson going in Anaheim? Who's looking at him because he's been rumored to be traded for the last
Yeah, but
2 or 3
he's older
years,
too. He's older too.
right?
How old is he? 36,
He's
35.
got to be. He's got
You
to
know,
be.
he's got to be up there. Edmonton will be fine. Again, they're just coming off a break. I'm sure. McDavid's tired. Um, there's no question. Listen, they'll be fine. They go through these. We've seen them go through these streaks before. Once the big boys get rolling and everything happens, they'll be fine.
Gibson's only 31. I thought he was be
Wow, he's been around for a while.
He's been around a long time. He doesn't turn 32 until the end of this season. That's so you're
Okay.
still getting a young goalie. Um, so it'll be interesting to see. But listen, before we go, um, I do want to pay our respects to the great Mike Lang and his family. Uh, Mike Lang, for any of our listeners that aren't old enough
Mm.
to remember Mike when he was the play-by-play guy for the Pittsburgh Penguins, go on YouTube, take
Best
15
best
minutes,
calls ever.
listen to his calls. He had the best calls ever. Scratch my back with a hacksaw. Mario would score. Elvis has left the building. Like all his sayings were unbelievable. And I was fortunate enough, and I know you've met him. I met him years ago. He was just an absolute gentleman, and it was sad to hear that he had passed away because Mike Lang, he was a legend, man. He was an
Amazing.
icon.
Absolute icon. Yeah, the hockey won't be called like that ever again. That's for sure. Not in the same tone, not in the same voice, not in the same expression. Mike Lang was truly he was a gem. He was a one of a kind. So
Crosby would score and Mike Lane would go, "Slap me silly, Sydney." Like it was just he just came up
just
with all
great.
these, it was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Tim. Good job. Good
Yeah.
job. Well,
Thanks, buddy.
what a great way to end this week's Snipes and Stripes right here at No Filter. Thanks to our sponsors, Whiskey in the Wild, whiskeyinthewild.com. Go for your best chocolate and chocolate orange whiskey of all time. It is an experience. To Protected Net Guards, sponsored right there by Tim Peel, helping protect our young kids in the greatest game on earth. And then obviously Bet Online. We love we love our partnership with Bet Online. Go make some money. Just make sure you don't lose too much. Thanks for joining us every day, another day. We'll see you next week. Who knows what week? You never know what's going to happen with us, but we'll definitely have one. We'll see you next time. Peelsy, have a great week, and
You too, buddy.
we rocked it again today, buddy.
See you, pal.
See ya.